All right.
You all set now?
I think we're set. I think just 2 generations passed. It's been a long time. Yeah, try to learn from you that your experience about general brief kind of Korean words, and then after Korean words, how did you how you share your stories with the young generations throughout Tel America? If you can just probably start with a kind of introduction briefly.
Okay, when I was a young man, actually a teenager, when the Korean War broke out in 1950, I had no reason to know about the Korean War because I was only about 16 and a half at the time. And the only war that we knew was what we saw in the movie house and whatever the old timers told us, you know, the guys from World War II. But you know, being as a teenager, like I guess teenagers today, you're not interested. And when you're not interested in something, you don't learn anything. And unfortunately, I had to quit high school for personal reasons, for the family. And like I said, when it broke out, I was on Coney Island. I was in my bathing suit. I was in the water, having a good time. And
as a kid.
Yeah, teenagers.
We were just having a good time. And at the same time, I met my lovely wife at Coney Island. And that was our start of our romance. But when I got a little older, I guess it was about 18 years old, actually the Korean War continued, and now you're starting to read a little bit in the paper. Not much, you know, turn the page. And then one day, the old timers, we had a social club. And in the social club we had maybe 10, 15 teenagers, about 10, 15 World War II guys, you know, 24, 23. And a couple of them said, you know, you guys better think of what you're gonna do because they're gonna start drafting. You know, one year, it goes out the other year, so.
Who cares?
Who cares, you know? So, me personally, I was in the Naval Air Reserve. My older brother, he was in World War II, and to protect me, he said, let's join the reserves. Because if you join the reserves, they can't take you, unless they evacuate your whole unit. So make a long story short, we joined when I was around 16 and a half. And so like I said, they couldn't take me, couldn't draft me. But all my friends, we decided that instead of being drafted, we're going to enlist. So there were 17 of us that agreed to go into the Marine Corps. Me, when I was younger, I loved the Marines. I always watched their movies, you know, and I was very impressed with them.
Oh, the heroes.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was really. And we went down, recruiter, three increments of 3. All 17 of us couldn't go. Well, we went there, and at that time, we belonged to a gang, and it was called Cloak and Dagger Boys. So you know, gangs are gangs.
That's
why I was
true.
Just to give you an example, one of my buddies was wearing black pants with chartreuse pockets.
Yeah.
I was wearing powder blue. We were wise guys. So when the recruiter looked at us, they shook their head, and they told us where to go sit. And when you take a test, they have these boards like this, you know, tables. They put me here, my buddy here, and my buddy here, you know, 2, 3 away. We said, we ain't gonna do that. We're gonna sit together. And we sat together and we cheated.
You mean the table?
Yeah, it's a long table,
I see.
and they have these boards this way, so you can't see the next guy.
Oh, I see. You can cheat.
You can't cheat. You're not supposed to cheat. So what we did when we went, we said we're going to sit where we wanted. So I sat here, another guy sat here. So when we were doing a thing, I would say, Joe, what's this? Sonny, what's that? Or Sonny would say me. We had the same marks, and the DIs were so impressed. It's just the Marines want them because we want to teach them a lesson. Yeah. So what happened was we passed the test and everything, and I said, okay, when do you want to leave? Within a week or so. So I says, well, you can't leave because you're in the reserves. You got to get released from the reserves in order to go into the service. I says, how am I going to get a release? Now, where I lived at that time, I lived in Hollis. So to get to the Floyd Bennett Field, I had to take 2 trains and 2 buses, 2.5 hours. Because my brother won't take me by car. Yeah, he said, I'm not taking you.
Too much.
Well, anyway, I did. And I went to the Floyd Bennett Field, and I sat down with my flight commander. And he says, first words out of his mouth, when I said I'm going to join the Marines, he says, are you crazy? He says, are you an idiot? He was, yeah. He says, you're going to be a Marine. He says, you're in the Navy. He says, you only fight when the weather's good. Because you're in the Airedales. I'm going to the Marines. He says, how do you like to die? So would you like to die like a pig? Or would you like to die like a human being? So he says, you know, Mud Marine is going to die like a pig. One ear and out the other. So this is the same principle with the teenagers today. The generations never change.
Oh, really?
They don't listen because it goes one ear and out the other. So anyway, my 2 buddies left. I had 2 weeks. So when I was in boot camp, the first thing the DI said to me, you know what a DI is? That's a drill instructor.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who's going to teach you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all lined up, and he says to me, who were the men that volunteered? I raised my hand and said, oh, no, I volunteered. But I don't know, maybe 30, 40 guys. He says, okay, idiots, since you guys volunteered, you're going to get double the issue because you asked for it. Instead of getting a better job, they treated us twice as worse. So anyway, I became known as the push-up kid. Somebody was the sit-up kids. Yeah, because
You did the most push-ups.
yeah. So anyway, the first thing they said, what's your name? Because everybody, they don't call you by your first name. It's always your last name.
Okay.
Because everybody, you say Joe, 10 guys raise their hand. So he says, oh, you're Scarlato. I said, yes, sir. He says, you're Italian. I said, yes, sir. Where you from? I said, Brooklyn. He says, then you're a gangster. He says, all Italians are gangsters. You can't argue them because if you answer them, you're going to do
More push-ups.
more push-ups or any kind of restriction. Well, anyway, boot camp was very interesting. At first you hate it with a passion. And then towards the middle, towards the, like 3/4, you understand why. You understand the discipline, the respect for yourself and other people, and the independence. Remember, you're 18 years old. What independence you have when you're home, So the military really teaches you something very good, as long as there's no war. So you don't want to go to Korea. So if your name was called to come back to Paris Island, you're going to Korea. If your name wasn't called, you're going to go to whatever they send you. A lot of guys went to radio school, whatever school, aircraft. Unfortunately, I went to Korea. I was had to go back to Paris Island. So when I left, two of my DIs were Korean War vets. third year, it was in World War II, but then he was stateside. So they try to help by telling you what to expect, you know, how the mountains and how the cold weather and so forth, and how the North Koreans fought, because they fought North Koreans.
Yeah.
We didn't fight, we fought Chinese. So anyhow, I left for 10 days. I came home. Then I went back. I went back on the 27th of December, 1951. Okay, and we were there about a week. Then they flew us to California, 1st Marine Division. See, at that time it was reinforced. 1st Division was permanent, and now it's reinforced. So we did approximately 12 weeks of Paris Island boot camp, and then 12 weeks of combat infantry training, you know. So you got to get familiar with yourself, with the environment of where you're going to go. So what they try to do is, the last 2.5 weeks of training, they send you up to a place called Picamento, Nevada. It's the coldest place in the United States.
Oh, really?
Where is it?
Picamento, Nevada. It's 90 miles from Vegas, but way up in the mountains, about 4,000 feet up.
Oh, okay.
All snow. You could be from, say, up to 8, 9 o'clock, you could wear a t-shirt. By 10 o'clock, you can't put enough clothes on. It's always snow and storm, you're freezing. So they try to get your body adapted to
It
Korea.
must be close to Grand Canyon in Arizona.
No, it's quite a ways from there. It's up in the mountain.
Oh, I see.
And also they start giving you sea rations. Because normally you eat normal food. Sea rations are in a can.
Yeah.
Now, when you open a sea ration can, the first thing you see is about 1/4 inch of grease. It's horrifying. You look at that, you want to throw up.
I know.
Once you heat it, and it looks better.
Yeah.
So now you're up freezing, and you're trying to do this because you're living in a pup tent, literally living in a pup tent, and you got a sleeping bag, and brush, and that's where you sleep for 2 weeks. Once in a while, they let you go into what they call a warming tent, where you have heat. Here you had a little mountain stove, this big, and they have aggressors. The enemy. What they come and they steal your shoes, or steal your rifles, and that's you're a prisoner. That's how they say you're dead or you're a prisoner. And it was kind of, cold.
Oh, I can imagine.
It got very cold, and then we came back, and then we were on a ship, going bound to Korea. Now we're on our way to Korea. When we hit Kobe, Japan, a few things happen on the ship. You gotta fire the weapons, or you're swabbing the decks, or that you're not relaxing. So me and my gumbada, my best friend, Sonny Pecora, we were in the same battalion together. And I was in B and he was in C, the decks. So one night we were up on C deck, up on the top deck, and we both felt that we weren't coming back. Yeah.
What was that?
Well, I had a cousin that got killed in Normandy. He was 19 years old, he smoked Lucky Strikes, and my gumbada and my gumbada knew him. My gumbada's 19, we both smoked Lucky Strikes. And we'll go to Incheon. Oh no, we stopped at Kobe first, that's what we did. And before that, I kept asking my superiors, what the hell are we doing here? Why are we going fighting here? I don't know these people. Let them take care of their own stuff like we did. You'll find out when you get to Japan, and you'll find out when you get to Korea. Why not? Right out.